Aesthetic Podcast. I'm Eric, and this is Randy. We got topics today, tech topics all day.
Topics of tech.
Yeah, we got an Apple event happened. We want to talk about that. That's going to be cool. That was last week, and we're going to talk about other stuff too, Apple related, like iPad versus Samsung tablet. We'll talk a little bit about whatever a Galaxy Book 2 is. We'll talk about Steam Deck.
Yeah, dude, whatever that
We'll
thing
see
is,
where
right?
we end up in this podcast. But we just talked about some, we just listed off some topics we are interested in. Let's start with the Apple event, because that was the kind of the meat.
Yeah, let's do that. But before we do that, there's going to be a brief 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I just want to, because I feel like I'm a small part of the community now, but I'm still a member. You know what I mean? Like, we're still members.
You have a member,
community.
dude.
I just want to say that I'm kind of depressed, but also excited to see that Dieter is from The Verge is moving on to bigger things. You know?
Dieter from The Verge. He was like one of the 2 MVPs, I think, like for me.
Yeah, same.
And he was definitely the MVP for me. Like I always enjoyed Dieter's content. I think it was like a mixture of like, he was kind of, I don't know, we can kind of relate to his opinion, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
And like I think he was technically, he was strong. He had like good opinions.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, he had good wholesome vibes,
He will be missed.
Content. He will be missed. I guess where is he going? Google?
Yeah, he's going to Google. His wife actually works for Google, or has worked for Google for a long time. So.
Oh well, good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, it sucks for us, but good for him.
Did you see his farewell video then? I guess, right?
I saw the article. I did not see the video.
Yeah, he did a video, and he basically said goodbye, and then went in to this big story about his Twitter handle. And stuff like that, and like what it means to him and stuff. But I watched it. It's pretty good, man. I give it a watch. Cool. It's kind of a good send off for him as his last video, and
right.
So he'll definitely still be around on Twitter and stuff, but he won't be official Verge content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I thought his last little video, but definitely take a look at it. But yeah, we'll move on to the Apple event. So Apple came out. We knew that they were we talked about it last podcast. We were like, what's going to happen? Did some predictions, definitely different than I expected. Okay. I kind of expected there to be, I did expect the high-end iMac. Turns out the iMac at the high end doesn't exist anymore. Yeah,
it seems like they're just killing that SKU off completely. Like,
it's gone.
I forget whose coverage it was, but like, if you just type in like the old iMac 27, it just redirects you to the 24 page.
Oh, interesting. Have you seen that?
Yeah. So no. Like the old URL was just, like apple.com/i-mac-27.
Okay.
And then the 24 was the 24, and the 27 used to take you to like what, the iMac Pro or something?
Probably.
And now it just redirects you to the iMac 24.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that is very interesting. Yeah.
Now, what I will say is they replaced it with a couple different options. Okay.
You think a couple different options?
Yeah, I do think a couple options.
Okay.
And I think that the reason, I'm going to just dive right into this.
Sure.
They came out with their new display. Okay. So it's basically like they did come out with a 27-inch display, but it's not, and you can pair that display with either the iMac, or not the iMac, the Mac Mini, or like a Mac Studio, right? Which is their new high-end station. So really, it's like you can still have a 27-inch iMac, but it's not going to be an iMac anymore. It's going to be a Mac Mini with the Studio display, or whatever they're calling it.
So it's just going to be a computer.
Basically. It's not an all-in-one anymore.
Right.
But, there's pros and cons to this approach. One of them is, one of the problems I had with the iMacs is once the computer inside becomes obsolete,
the screen is also obsolete.
Yeah, exactly. I always felt like that was a problem. I was like, I wish I could just swap out the internals, or like, for example, use it as an external display, but they never offered that, right?
When you think about it, dude, that's not too pro, right? Like to have an iMac.
No, it's not. To be frank,
I never thought of it that way. That's interesting. That's an interesting take.
I think it's better that they have them separate, because if the display goes bad, your whole computer isn't dead. If the computer part goes bad, your display isn't dead also. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that this is better. The only problem I have is it's expensive. So people are saying like the studio display here. I'll go ahead and pull it up for the podcast to actually see. This is the Apple website, and here's their. They already had a Pro Display XDR, but they just came out announced the studio display, which is 27-inch 5K Retina display. It has a camera. It has audio built in. It's $15.99, and like the 27-inch iMac was like what, like $17.99 starting, something like that. So
I don't know.
It's like pretty pricey, right?
Yeah, but like I think that people were comparing it to like the LG 5K Ultrafine.
Okay.
Which is worse, right?
Okay. Well, and for the price, are they?
It's $12.99. I think the 5K Ultrafine.
Okay.
You can probably pull out. I mean, I'm not sure if Apple still sells it. Pull it up.
I don't know. I'm just looking at the tech specs page.
Yeah,
here.
Apple stopped selling 5K Ultrafine monitor.
So let's talk about
on LG side, it is in fact $12.99. So
okay, so I don't know spec for spec the difference between those two displays, but the Apple one's guaranteed to be like not guaranteed, but it's probably much better.
Well, I could tell you, just because I have it up right now.
Yeah,
and I've seen the 5K Ultrafines in Apple stores because that was the official monitor that they used, right? So like if you went there, prior to the Pro Display XDR and prior to the Mac Studio, the 5K Ultrafine was made for Apple. Like even if you go on LG's website, it says made for Mac OS. So the 5K Ultrafine is a gorgeous monitor. It's 27 inches. But I'll tell you right now, it's a plastic boy. Like it's your typical computer monitor. It's DCI-P3 and 500 nits. I'm not sure what the studio display is. Is it also 500 nits or is it 600?
It's 600.
Okay, so it's slightly brighter, and you're gonna get that Apple build quality. You know what I mean? So like, it also, I believe the studio display also has a A13 in it.
You said it was the LG Ultrafine 4K, 5K.
5K. I can just send it to you if you want to pull it.
I can't even find the 5K.
There it is.
Send me the link. Thanks. But because I'm just trying to pull it up for the podcast to see.
Yeah, so this was Apple's monitor when they were making. We're not making a monitor. Sorry. They partnered with LG to put this together.
And it's not even available anymore.
No, they as soon as it came out, they canceled it. So.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so this is very similar, actually. You can just tell, like, it has the webcam at the top and everything.
Yeah.
But this is way worse. Like, just looking at it.
Yeah, but the cost kind of justifies the price of the studio display, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think the studio display, so the 5120 by 2880, that's the same resolution. So this is literally a, like, in-place replacement.
That's exactly what it is. With
I think
Apple,
the stand is probably worse. Was it fully adjustable before, and now it's only like tilt unless you buy the upgrade? I'm looking at the difference.
That's probably worse. And from my understanding, I could be wrong on this, but the one report I've read said that there's no way for the default stand to go into portrait mode.
Regardless
of which version you get.
Oh, well, you'd have to get the VESA adapter, but even then, it probably doesn't have like the. It's not going to auto switch like the Pro Display XDR would.
Right.
So.
And I don't know why, but someone said that like the VESA mount for the studio display is awful, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it doesn't sit flush like the Pro Display XDR one does. But one of the like reliable Mac sources I've had says like the VESA mount for the studio is going to be a disappointment for a lot of people.
That's a shame. Yeah,
I wish I had more information on why that is, but I don't.
Yeah,
sadly.
Well, let's. I'm looking at it right now. It doesn't look. The VESA mount, I mean, it looks nice, but I don't know if it's actually good. It looks like it's centered and everything. I don't know.
My guess would have to be that it doesn't sit nearly as flush as the Pro Display XDR one does, and it may not rotate. Those would be my 2 points of contention.
Yeah, I don't know. Good. Who knows, man? But let's talk about the display itself, because, we're both display nerds, man. What do you think about this display? So, 5K, 27-inch, 600 nits. I mean, what's your opinion? 60 hertz. Like for the price.
So here's where I'm at with this. Okay, so like they're putting XDR displays in everything, literally everything, right? Like it's in the 12.9-inch iPad.
Right.
Why does this feel so backwards?
You think that this should be a better display than it is?
I think it should be. I think it should at least have ProMotion.
Okay, so yeah, and that was my criticism. So it doesn't have ProMotion, 60 hertz locked, right? That's a shame.
So like, let me refresh. Like, so like, does Apple use ProMotion lingo for the Pro Display XDR? That's also 60 hertz, right?
It is.
Okay, so here's my.
They have no desktop display option that's above 60 hertz.
Here's what I'm asking, though, because I don't know if it exists. Is there a 5K display that has over 60 hertz? I don't think there might not be.
That's a valid question. I don't. Yeah, because I know obviously you can get 4K 120 and stuff like that. Right. Yeah.
Right.
At 5K, I don't know, but I haven't really I haven't looked at the above 4K market, to be fair.
Right.
I haven't looked at what displays are available. I wouldn't be surprised if we're not there yet. Specifically with these displays, like the 5K ones, it's probably like that's what you get, you know. But it might be a bandwidth issue because like what this is like Thunderbolt 3, right?
There are 8K 30 displays, right? So like if you do the math, right? So like if you took the resolution of like 8K, you know, it's like 7840 by something, and then times that by the frame rate, right? That's how many pixels per second of bandwidth you need to push, right? So then. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so like, here's the problem.
I think it's more of like a controller issue, right?
It's probably a controller issue. It's probably that they probably could have baked it in. Thunderbolt 3, I know has 3 USB-C ports also. And it's saying 3 downstream USB-C ports up to 10 gigabits a second for peripherals. So it might be that it's just not giving all the bandwidth to the controller on board, and it's dividing it across.
Doesn't it have an A13
IO?
though to handle the throughput for the Thunderbolts and the speakers and the audio?
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. It's
so then like it shouldn't be a bandwidth issue because it has a separate coprocessor for those Thunderbolt lanes.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't make the thing. But
I know
I think they could have done better.
Ideas off one another, right? But then again, it still only does have one upstream to the computer, which is limited to 40 gigabits per second, right? So
I'd say that they probably looked at it and was like, we don't need to offer ProMotion for this. Like they probably were like, the price isn't worth it. The market doesn't care, and it might be that the creative market using this doesn't care for ProMotion.
Yeah,
but
like.
What I mean? I don't know.
No, that's valid. That's valid.
I don't know why they put it on the MacBooks because you know my MacBook Pro 14 has ProMotion 120 hertz. So like, why did they put it on there?
Well, see, here's what I was getting at with the ProMotion branding, because it's my understanding that the ProMotion branding is for their like LPTO technology. You know what I mean? Where like it can scale up and down. Like I think that's what they brand ProMotion as, because it sounds a little bit better than LPTO.
Does it actually adjust frame rate? I don't know.
The MacBook?
Yeah. I'm serious.
I think it does.
I don't know if it does.
Yeah.
Does it? All right. I'll take your word for it, but I wasn't sure that was a part of the deal. Now, if it is, then
I'm curious.
Yeah, I just don't know. The reason I even say that is I feel like it's difficult to make a display that can offer like an LTPO technology and have like across the entire refresh rate range, you still have the same colors and fidelity and stuff.
Sure.
Like I feel like your display would have to adapt. I don't know. Maybe I'm foolish. Maybe I don't know anything. But I don't know. I feel like they have like higher standards for their displays, and to hit these like, you know, was it DCI-P3 color gamut and all this other stuff. Like, I don't know if they can hit all that and still offer like on top of that ProMotion. It might just be a limitation, but I don't know. It's definitely a disappointment. I can tell you that, because the fact that I have it on my MacBook Pro, but I don't have it, like I can't get it in this studio display. It's just kind of sad. So I like the idea of 5K. I don't like the idea of 5K at 27 inches.
Well, you know why that is, right?
No.
That's so you can have a full 1-to-1 4K viewport for videos and still have room for a toolbar without compromising your 1-to-1 viewport ratio. It's actually smart. It's actually a good idea.
No, I like the idea of 5K. I just think that it should have been 30 inches.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is what I'm getting at. 27-inch, I feel like, is like a sweet spot for 4K, but not for 5K. But that's just me. Because I have a 4K 48-inch monitor in front of me, TV, which I feel like is pretty sharp. But like having 5K at like 27 inches, I just feel like, I don't know. It's probably fine. I just like bigger displays. I think I've developed a preference for bigger displays now.
No, I think so too. I mean, I have too, but
do you think it's fine? 27? Do you think that's a lot of people's sweet spot? I think it is. When I first got a 27-inch monitor, I was coming from like 23-inch boys and stuff.
The Apple one it does adjust the refresh rate.
Oh, it does.
And what's cool about the MacBook one, dude, is it'll auto sync to your timeline in Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve and stuff.
Oh, it'll match refresh.
Yeah.
See, that would be really nice then for
yeah.
the studio displays, because video editors are going to use this thing.
That's kind of what I mean, right? Like I feel like it's gonna sound weird, right? But like I feel like I would maybe like watch movies on my iPad over this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I had a 12.9-inch iPad with the mini LED and like the 1000 nits peak.
That's crazy. Yeah, I know. That's a good point. As this thing isn't really HDR capable either. It's like 600 nits brightness, which is for SDR fantastic. But we really want to hit that 1000 nits.
Yeah, so like
if possible.
How do you master HDR content on this? You don't. You have to buy their larger option, right?
Yeah, you're not going to
buy the
master
Pro Display
HDR.
XDR.
HDR is still kind of a... what's wild is it's everywhere on phones. Like you can get HDR phones like nothing. But like...
Well, it's everywhere on televisions too, right?
Yeah, but like... if you buy a nice one. If you buy like
a non-HDR
TV
you
television,
can buy right now? Do they still exist?
Yeah. Well, here's the problem.
Are you sure, dude?
No, listen, dude. Listen. Like I have a TCL freaking 4K TV that I bought on Amazon. It's HDR capable, but no, it's not like high brightness.
Right, but it's still HDR. It can still decode the HDR signal.
But like you're not having a true good HDR experience is my point.
I mean, theoretically, aren't our OLEDs not HDR 1000? So
don't open that can of worms. You're right. You're 100% right though. But at the same time, I feel like the dynamic range that the OLED offers you with those really dark darks, you can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like, I agree with you, man. Like, I think that even OLEDs right now, they can do a really good OLED like HDR experience because you don't get any of that blooming or nothing,
Right.
So it's just crisp. But like, I remember when I was doing HDR on the PG27UQ Asus monitor, that had 1000 nits with like, local array dimming zones or whatever, right?
Full array local dimming?
Yes. And that thing was like way bright, like, and like that had no ABL stuff. Like that thing was like, it's seriously a different level. Right? Like, it did have bloom. I remember like having seen the bloom, and it was kind of, in some instances, it was definitely distracting, but it was still like powerful. Like the HDR experience it could offer in the right scenario was super bright, punchy, and I really liked it, So
no, I don't disagree with that.
I feel like OLED has a long way to go. Like I know that we got QD OLED from Samsung now that can hit even brighter peaks, but not like 1000 nits peak on like that new one, I guess. That Linus reviewed it today, the new Alienware ultra wide that's 3841 2160. It's like the new gold standard for ultra wides, right? And that thing's got the QD OLED for 1000 nits peak, and that thing is like really good. But it's still not. It still has ABL. You know what I mean?
Does he mention the ABL?
He does.
Yeah.
So he talks about like it's got like at worst case scenario at like full screen it's like 250 nits peak.
That's
like,
rough.
It'll dip that low. And that's just what ABL does. He talked about like the 10%, 20% window, like how much you dim, and it's there, man. Like that's the problem.
So is that like a power thing? Like we just can't.
I still don't know what it is. Like
because
I don't know what
if it was a power thing, like there are people out there like you and I who don't care how much power a monitor pulls.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Milk my freaking wall outlet, bro.
Yeah, dude. Milk it. Dude, I'll put a 240 in.
Yeah, I'll put a 240 in for the display. No shit. I'll run that Romex wire through the wall right now, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, like, no, I'm serious. Like I keep thinking about it, and I'm like, why are they holding back? Like, why are we ABLing at all? So we need to look that up.
Yeah. Because I wish I knew. I wish I had an answer for it, guys.
We don't. And I don't know. I kind of wish, because that's why I'm looking at the micro mini LED stuff. And I'm like, that could still be
the future.
It still could be, because if we can't overcome the ABL, I don't think we're ever going to be in this golden age of HDR. I really don't think so, because ABL just kills me. It really does. Anyway, back to the studio display. We're pretty much wrapped up on it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But like, I think it looks nice aesthetically.
I think it looks fantastic aesthetically. If I ran a Mac mainstream, I make it one. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure. Like, I would want one, but like, honestly, to me, I would just get the Pro Display XDR.
That kind of leads me to like another comment I have about that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and like you and I are like big offenders of this, right? Like,
okay.
It's really hard for us to justify why we want certain Apple products. It's like emotional, and like it sounds cliche, but it really is.
It's emotional.
Yeah, like, could I buy a better display than that product? Absolutely. Is my current display technically better than that? Yes. Do I still want the Apple one? Yes. You know what I mean?
The Pro Display XDR does things that our current shit doesn't do.
No, I'm saying
But you're right.
The studio display.
Yeah. Okay. Even that, like. Yeah, because like everything's a trade-off, right? Like they have a sex appeal display, man. Yeah. It's really sex appeal. I bet you the speakers on that are going to be like really good for monitor speakers. Like,
dude, they're probably going to be insane.
They're
probably going to be like
what?
2 HomePods.
I know. It's going to be nuts. Because, Apple's kills it with and they have more room in this thing than they do in the Macs and everything. So
that's what I mean, dude. They're going to have bigger drivers, dude. They're gonna milk those speakers, dude.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Dude,
you buy it for the speakers, dude. Don't buy it for the display.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Those speakers are like $200.
The display is probably C tier, but the speakers are probably S rank, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
that's
the display,
a good point,
dude. This display's gonna be like, it's almost like they took the best parts and the essential parts of the iMac, crammed it in the studio display, and was like, yeah, that computer you want along with it, you can just buy that separately, dude. Get the Mac Mini or that Studio Boy.
Can I tell you something that like I thought about when they announced the Studio Display XDR?
What?
Or no, the
Studio
XDR,
display.
Just the studio display when they said it had like an A13 or whatever in it.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, how cool would it be like if you could push a button when your computer's not on, and that thing just became a giant iPad?
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why didn't they just put like iPad OS on it with the touchscreen? And you would have been that would have been
when there
busted.
was no signal, it was just like a home hub. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a desk iPad.
I know.
How cool would that be, dude? I'd be on board with that in a heartbeat, dude. And then you would get people to buy it who didn't need a monitor, who just wanted a big iPad on their desk.
Bro, no, you're right. Think about because they already talked about the iMac for like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Dude, no. Get the freaking studio display with iPad OS on it, and then you'd have the perfect. Like we just talked about how Apple
missed
needs
opportunity,
that.
Dude.
Like,
missed opportunity.
Yeah, I know. Missed opportunity, but yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next freaking product, or we'll stay here forever. The Mac Studio is probably the one we want to move on to.
Yeah, let's move on to that, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
We can hit the other little minor things. The Mac Studio. So I got it pulled up. It says it's from 1999. Okay. It's basically like
the year?
No, of the cost. That's how much it costs, bro.
Oh, excuse me.
Maybe it's gonna party like it's 1999 if you use this. You know
Maybe.
It looks like a Mac Mini, but taller. Okay. And it's running. It's got some pretty good I/O. I'm looking at the I/O here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's got 10 gig. Ethernet on board, HDMI out, Thunderbolt, all that jazz. Outrageous performance. Here's what I think is interesting. They announced a new chip, M1 Ultra. So you can get this thing with M1 Max, which they already had in the top of the line MacBook Pros, like the 14 and the 16. But now they have the M1 Ultra, which is basically two M1 Maxes glued together.
Didn't Max Tech like predict that though? Like
they did
dangerously predicted that.
So did Snazzy Labs. Like they talked about like this is coming, and so nobody's really surprised about this. I don't know. I think I'm not surprised, but I'm also still a little shocked.
Okay.
Because the M1 Max was kind of already nutty. Like it's basically four M1s glued together. Yeah. And then you glue two M1 Maxes together, and then you got the Ultra. Although, let's
what do you
talk
think
about
of that scalability, though, dude?
Of the just the M1, like how it's just
like the whole architecture to just be that linear.
Isn't that wild? How it's scaling this well? It's like how did they not run into a bottleneck? That's what the guy that designed this stuff, like the team, like wow, kind of magic.
Speaking of the guy that designed that, this is a little off topic on topic, but that's okay. That's okay.
That's what we do here.
The guy who designed that went to Intel, right?
Right.
And I saw an interview pop up on the Intel subreddit the other day. I just realized that Intel not only has the M1 GOAT, but they also have Raj from AMD now too. I forgot about that, dude. I'm like, oh my, like Wonder Trim Powers activate, dude. Like
they must have been like, oh shit, like we're getting hit on both fronts. Let's
whatever
pull out
Intel is gonna come out for like 13th or 14th gen. Watch out, dude.
Yeah, it's coming. Well, they already talk about how they're gonna compete with M1 in price to performance per watt. So they already talk about how they're gonna be able to beat them in performance per watt. And I'm like, well, that's really a bold statement because what Apple is doing with the ARM architecture, like it's just been insanely efficient. Right, so you're telling me under x86 you're gonna outdo what Apple can do on ARM? It just seems like that's
crazy.
That's
dude.
That's a hard hill to climb because they always say how ARM is like this power efficient architecture, and then you're telling me x86 can rival it.
Well, here's the thing, dude. Like I caught wind of Microsoft is already working on Windows 12.
What?
With native ARM support. So
well, they already have ARM Windows, right? But like it sucks. You know what I mean? Like they have like they can't do what Rosetta 2 can. You know what I mean? That's the problem. That's the problem we're having right now is they just can't do it. And so no one's going to adopt Windows for ARM. They tried it way back with Windows 8. They had like the ARM versions of you could buy like the Surface
Surface Pro X.
Yeah. That's the current one, right?
Well, it's yes and no. I mean, here's the thing. So like they keep calling it the X, like they don't update the name, but it's you can either get it with SQ1, which is the first ARM chip, or you can get it with SQ2 now. So they are updating it.
Oh, okay.
They are continuously updating it.
And I'm sure that there's like a small market for people that want to run Windows on ARM, but like it's just not really there. You know what I mean? It's just not there.
There are a lot of people, because I've been doing some research. There are a lot of people who love it. And you are right. It is a small niche of people. But the reason people like it so much is because you can get a 5G version of it.
Oh, interesting. So they could use it like
because Qualcomm makes the SQ processor. So
interesting.
You can get a 5G enabled Surface Pro X. So like if you really just need something for like Office Suite, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty lucrative.
Yeah, so, you're a road warrior. You need something that can be online without.
Yeah, I was like, oh well, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like Office is pretty easy to run. I'm sure it runs great on that because it has a native client. And then if you just need something that like you said, like you're a traveling salesman or something, like I could see that being a good buy.
Yeah, I kind of wish that like they offered that in like your MacBooks and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool, right?
Like, why don't we have? I get like that you can buy the mobile hotspots and stuff, or you could use your phone tether, but like that's an extra thing. Like, I kind of wish it was just built in. Like, that's the kind of benefit of the cellular iPads and stuff. Like, people.
No, I agree.
It's like, why can't we get that same benefit in like their laptops? But
Concur.
Whatever. But let's talk about the Mac Studio, man. This thing looks pretty interesting. So
it does, doesn't it?
2 versions, really. It looks like $19.99 for the base M1 Max version, and then you go up like $2,000 if you want the M1 Ultra one. So pretty insane. But the performance in the Ultra, I haven't looked at benchmarks yet, and I don't think there are any that we've seen because there's been no reviews of this thing. But, it's going to be insane. Let's just say that. 64 gigs base unified memory up to 128 gigs of unified memory.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, doubles the memory bandwidth from 400 gigabytes a second to 800. That's kind of crazy. It doubles your video encoding engines and decoding from the M1 Max because obviously it's like two Maxes glued together.
Sure.
They talked about like being able to handle like 18 like 4K streams at once or something crazy, something stupid.
18 8K streams.
8K streams.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, dude, they're 8K streams.
Yeah, it's like, why would you? Okay, that's.
Can you
wild.
try to pull up that article? I'll try to find it too, because that Geekbench one where I put it like 10% slower than 64 core Threadripper.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
no
but
way.
it's Geekbench,
64 core Threadripper.
It's Geekbench though, dude. So it's basically Apple's own in-house benchmark.
Okay.
That's like highly optimized for ARM.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, that's the one that everyone runs on Apple products. So yeah, I don't know, man.
There you go.
You linking me?
Can you bring it up?
Yeah, of course. Of course I can do it. All right, so nearly matches Threadripper 3990X, which is their cream of the crop big boy, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could scroll down and see it.
Yeah. So hold on, I'm looking at so Apple M1 Ultra single threaded. Oh yeah, so you showed me this earlier.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so let's talk about single threaded first. The king being the i9 12900K, and I mean it's not beating it, but it's also not like far behind. And then multi-core, it's not beating the Threadripper 3990X, but it's not far behind. But it far exceeds the like i9 in multi-threaded. It far exceeds the Threadripper in single-threaded. I think like you have a really powerful, well-rounded chip, and honestly, the fact that it's that close to Threadripper
it's Geekbench though. It's Geekbench though, boys.
You're right. So, but like, if these numbers are a little bit true, that's kind of crazy.
What's interesting to me is the whole picture, right? Like if you look at the 12900K,
yeah,
like this is an 8+8 chip, right?
Right.
So, it's not that far behind the 128 thread core, boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it seems like Moore's law isn't dead, right? Like it seems like we're getting substantial gains.
Yeah, I keep thinking that too. I was like, when is Moore's law going to kick in? Because we're always finding ways around, the
transistor limit before we start to get like superposition issues.
Exactly. I'm like, how are we still getting smaller and faster and less power hungry? It just keeps happening, and like, it's exciting. It's super exciting because I love to see more performance, obviously.
Right, right. I think we all would.
Like, look at the performance you get. And this isn't no freaking big desktop or server, dude. This is like this is like two Mac Minis stacked on top of each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's the form factors. I mean, remember when they made the trash can PC?
I do.
Apple, like, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna type in Apple trash can.
I'm sure it'll come right up, dude. Come right up, dude.
Yeah. So that thing was pretty cool, but it was also like, I feel like it became obsolete very quickly. Trash can Mac. So it was, I don't know, man. Was that thing ever really fast? And I know it had Xeon in it.
I don't know enough about it to speak to it without sounding like I'm ignorant. So
yeah, I feel like it wasn't like a big hit product. I think that it just wasn't
what that
good
thing became,
enough.
dude?
What?
You know the trash can Mac became the Xbox Series X.
What do you mean?
Look at the shape and the cooling design, dude. It's literally the same thing.
Yeah, good point. Actually, good point. That kind of vertical cooling solution
with like the vertical tower and everything wrapped around it. Yeah, it's the Apple Xbox Series X.
Yeah,
dude.
I think that the Mac Studio is a lot more compelling of a product. than like the trash can Mac was. This thing is like on another level of value, I think, compared. Now I know that $4,000's a lot, but like,
yeah, but like you're not gonna get $4,000, right? Like you're gonna upgrade the M1 Ultra, like you're gonna get the 5700 one because that's not the full 64 core one.
well,
No
let's
one's getting
build
that
one out just for fun, right? Like, so
I think it's
yeah,
like
you're right.
$57.99 is if
Is
I
the
were to
one
buy
to
one,
buy.
it would be $57.99.
So you're gonna get the M1 Ultra with the 64 core GPU because you know you're not gonna get the 48. You're gonna get the 128 unified.
I want to point out something here. I thought Apple was going to charge at least $1,200 for to double the RAM. I actually think the RAM doubling is not that bad for Apple.
Yeah, for Apple to be sure, but like
right.
it's
You know
still
what I mean?
a premium, but like
it's still a premium for sure. But like
it's unified, it's on board, it's probably it's fast as hell.
I expected the 64 to 128 option to be 1,200 or 1,600. To be honest with you, not 800. So I was kind of like, oh well, that becomes a no-brainer if you're already spending $5,000. You know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you can afford $5,000, you could probably afford $57.99.
I think that and the one I would buy is $57.99. I would
Same.
1 terabyte storage is fine. I'd use external storage or a NAS if I wanted more. This thing,
the way I view like storage, especially on a desktop computer, is like I just need enough to work on a large project.
Exactly.
And have everything installed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then I'll offload anything that I don't need because, I mean, my desktop PC that games is a little different because I have like terabytes of games, right?
Yeah.
Like each game is like hundreds of megabytes sometimes, or gigabytes sometimes, and
all those MBs, dude.
Yeah, it's insane. So, but with like just a work computer like this, you probably don't have like more than a terabyte's worth of project data per project. So, I would just stick to that. But that,
like laptops are a little different too, because you want to be able to take multiple projects with you if you're going somewhere, if you're on location working on multiple projects.
Yeah, it's true. Like if I wasn't going to be in a fixed location where I have a network storage attached, like this is a, I mean, it's portable.
This is a stationary machine for all intents and purposes.
I mean, technically it's so light you could grab it and go, but like you're not going to do that, right? Like unless you're MKBHD, where they used to have the travel iMac, the 27-inch travel iMac, they Pelican cased.
Dude, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah, I know.
Like
it's like, why didn't you just? But they didn't have laptop options that
were powerful enough for their Final Cut Red footage.
Exactly. So I was like, well, if they want the best performance on the go, like the travel iMac, but I think they finally retired it when we had the M1 Max. Come out.
Yeah, they retired it when the M1 Max came out.
Yeah. So
interesting though, right?
It is interesting. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just want to talk about the Mac Studio. I think it's cool. It's a little expensive. I don't need it. It's not for me.
I want to talk to you about something else though.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they did make that announcement at the end of the keynote saying that they've almost finished the transition to Apple Silicon. There's only one device left, Mac Pro.
Okay.
So what my two questions for you are, one, what are they putting in Mac Pro processor-wise? And two, will Mac Pro be modular?
This is a very tough question. We don't have a lot to go off of.
No.
History-wise, right?
No.
Now, we know what they offer currently, which is a modular Mac Pro, right? Like, it's x86, it's got Xeon, I think
here's the weird part, dude. It's like the whole selling point of the new Mac Pro is how it has those literal modules, how everything just pops out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. It's upgradability. It has PCIe slots. You can upgrade it, put different cards in it, whatever, accelerators or GPU, whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty because they said they want to replace it. Like they implied that we're going to offer a alternate product to replace it.
I think we are going to get an alternate product for sure.
But I don't know, man. Like they could. I just don't know what they'll do. So they obviously are going to put Apple Silicon in it. But what are they going to do? Glue two M1 Ultras together?
But again, what about the modularity? You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. Like the whole thing is weird, right? Because then if they do that, you don't really need a box bigger than the Mac Studio. You know what I mean?
It's really hard to say.
What are they planning, dude?
It's going to be wild. Whatever it is, because they're going to replace it. We thought, like, when I first was watching the keynote, I thought the Mac Studio replaced it, but then they were like,
I thought so too.
This doesn't.
I'm not too sold on the name.
Mac Studio?
Yeah.
Whenever in the keynote they said Mac Studio, I was just like, it just sounds weird. It was like Mac's Studio.
Well, it bothers me for a reason, because literally the Surface line just came out with the Surface Studio.
Yeah.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like, why do that?
I know. It's like, why are all the big OEMs like calling their shit the same thing?
Yeah, it kind of bothers me.
It bothers me too. And like, also with the M1 Ultra, I'm like, okay, so you went with the Ultra route this time. You know what I mean?
Like, if you remember when the S20 Ultra came out from Samsung, like,
yeah,
MKBHD made a whole video on the Ultra name and like how no one's used it before and like what Ultra stands for and all this stuff. And now it's like all the tech companies are like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, let's use that one. Yeah,
Ultra. Yeah. I know.
Maybe
it's
we're gonna have like the M1 Omega.
Dude, if they did that, oh my god, I'd go wild.
I'd buy it, dude.
I'd go
just
wild.
Have like the God of War symbol on it, dude.
Oh man, yes, that's it. That's the next step, dude. The Omega. The M1 Omega. That's coming. It's gonna rock your world, dude. It's gonna be 4 M1 Ultras glued together.
That's it, dude.
It's gonna be dual slot.
It's
M1
literally
Omegas.
Glue too, bro.
Literal glue.
Literal glue, baby.
Oh man, no, I don't know what they do, but I don't feel like it could be modular. All the M1 devices have been soldered on, like, the SoC is an SoC, dude. Like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna have? I mean, you might have PCIe slots, but why? And like
that's what I don't understand is like, where does the modularity come in? And like, here's my other question too, right? So like, I know Red has like that Red Rocket card.
Okay.
that like dog dick thing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I know that DaVinci Resolve sells a PCIe Fairlight accelerator.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
So where does this stuff come in?
Well, those accelerators, like with the media engine, you don't even need them. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't need them anymore unless you have like a specific codec, like Red specifically, right? But most people transcode into ProRes because you can. Like, it's not like a problem. So if that's the case, like if people actually need to work in Red, then maybe you'll get those accelerator cards, and that would be that's why you still need the modularity. But like, I think a lot of people see the scam behind that. Like, why do that when I have ProRes raw, like media engine built in to my my Mac? Like, why would I work in Red?
Can I ask you something else then too?
Sure.
Well, not ask you something else, but I want to call out something else too. So glad it has 10 gig networking. Yeah,
I know. That's one thing that I'm just glad to see it. I'm tired of, why is 10 gig not like standard in everything now? In
this 2.5 gig nonsense is just bizarro world.
I don't understand like why networking has been so slow to progress.
Adopt it? Well, cost, right? I would assume, right?
But
cost
why?
And heat. I don't know. Cost and heat?
That sounds so dumb though to me, because like over the years we've seen like crazy progress in every other area of technology.
Okay.
Even wireless. But wired networking has stayed the same for like 20 years. We've had gigabit Ethernet forever in everything.
Well, I mean, I think the issue is there's no need in the consumer space, right? Like, gigabit Ethernet in enterprise room is like not non-existent anymore, right? So we've gone over this before. Like there's terabit internet. You know what I mean? So like there's things that there's dark fiber. There's things that exist outside of that. But like, I mean, a good majority of the world doesn't even have gigabit internet to their homes anymore, or yet. You know what I mean? So like most people connect wirelessly.
On it. That's exactly true. Wireless hasn't been fast. So
so like there's no reason for them to do that for the consumer.
I think it's because like it's like, okay, we have gigabit, but that's been future proof because like no one's had gigabit internet. So it's like your bottleneck is already there no matter what.
Right. So like networking is already fast enough for like 93% of the population.
Yeah, I know. It's just as someone that has a NAS, that's the only reason.
I get it, but like you could buy Intel makes a NIC that takes an SFP. You can get one of those.
Yeah, I'm actually about to get a like a PCIe like NIC that is 10 gig. You know?
No, get the one I recommended, dude. That just takes an SFP.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then you can make it anything, dude. You can make it anything.
Yeah, you can just put an SFP in it whenever you want,
and it's like
you want.
It's like $90. I'll link it to you. It's worth it.
Yeah, I'm about to upgrade because like I'm about to build a new NAS. It's gonna be 10 gig. It's probably gonna have multiple 10 gig ports on it.
Yeah.
So I can have multiple 10 gig like connections to it at once. Like Amanda's PC can get to it 10 gig. I can get to it 10 gig full hog. You know, like that's what I want to be able to do. And because I want fast network storage for video editing and other purposes. Because like I don't want to have like we just got done talking about how we don't want to have like a ton of storage like built in when we have NASs. So
right.
Yeah. There it is, Amazon, man. I'll pull it up for the podcast to look at. Why not? There it is. 10 gig PCIe NIC. Let's go. Single FS.
That's the one you want to with the Intel controller.
Yeah. All right. Looks good, man. I mean, $98. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I still got to buy the SFP. That's going to be another, $50.
$48.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
but I mean, honestly,
from fs.com too.
Yeah.
Be cheaper.
Yeah. But, whatever. So it's still 10 gigs still kind of expensive, but yeah, I'm glad that Apple built it in.
You know what you could buy with that, dude? You can just get those FSP interconnect cables for like $13, and I even converted to Cat 6.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
could.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
I have to look at that. But yeah, I'll go to 10 gig eventually. I'm glad they built it in finally. So good for them.
Yeah, that's a nice.
But anyway, last what's your last kind of 2 cents on the Mac Studio?
I think that if you don't play games, I think it's a very compelling option. You know what I mean? Like
if
again,
you're saying if you're a creator, like this is something that.
Yeah, and I'll kind of touch on that a little bit when I get to some of our other topics too, because like
right,
it kind of ties in. But I think that what Apple is doing is just, even if you weren't an Apple fan before, and like I don't really believe in like being like, even though I am a fanboy, I don't like to say that I'm a fan of companies. You know what I mean? Even though I am. So like it's a do as I say, not as I do type thing.
Exactly.
It's hard to turn a blind eye to exactly what Apple is putting out.
No, I agree. I think it's an interesting and unique product. I think it's very powerful. I think that people are going to pick it up that need it. I think most people don't. Even me, like, I want to sell almost my 14-inch MacBook and just go back to my 13. Because,
can I tell you something on that note?
Yeah.
If I were to get a MacBook, I mean, I guess we could transition in
we
into
should.
this topic.
We should, because I'm like, there's
Sure.
nothing else that Apple put out that I care about. Like, I don't
Sure.
really care about the iPhone SE and stuff like that. So,
if I were to get a MacBook, I think I would get the MacBook Pro M1 10 core, like the upgraded M1 Pro. But I think I would honestly still get 16 gigs of RAM over 32.
I just like having more. When it comes to
I
memory.
like having more too. But I watched a really good video, right? And and that really good video I watched said, why would you buy something you're not going to use? And like, I get it. I do all the time. I do it constantly.
Because what if I would use it?
That's exactly right. But I know that I would primarily edit photos on it, and I would primarily edit videos on my desktop. So if I'm primarily editing photos on it, I know that 16 gigabytes is plenty on unified architecture for photo work.
Yes.
And it may potentially give me a little bit more battery because DIMMs do consume power.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's a good point, man. Like, I'm at that point now. Like, I bought the M1 Max equipped 14-inch MacBook Pro because that was the most
it's a beefy boy. Yeah,
beefy, most powerful.
Grabby hands, dude. You got grabby hands.
I had grabby hands, and like at the time, I think I knew how crazy the performance was going to be. I knew it was going to be a fantastic laptop, right? Without
Right.
question. What I didn't really anticipate was the battery sacrifice I was going to be making, because that's exactly what happened. The 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 was like, you could go full tilt on it and last for hours. And the 14-inch, even if I'm just kind of doing casual stuff, drains very quickly. And that bothers me. Like, and I don't feel like to this day, since owning it, I haven't used any of those like intense features because I have my desktop, and I video edit on my desktop because it's still, even after my benchmarks, it's still better with GPU encoding, with like the 3080 doing the grunt of the GPU stuff. It was still faster at doing like a video render, right?
Sure.
So I just didn't really, so I haven't really made the transition like I told myself I would. And like, yeah, on the go, I could do a lot of work on it, but I'm never on the go. You know, I'm at home. I have my desktop.
But I feel like the M1 Pro wouldn't prohibit you from doing that work. It would just
be when I do need to do it, it wouldn't be as good, but it would still be good. Like, that's what's cool about the M1 is people are doing full-time like video editing on like just the MacBook Pro, or like the MacBook Air is the same chip, just throttles. You know what I mean?
So what I was going to say about how I decided to not even get 32 gigs if I were to go that route was because I used the base M113 for over a year. And there was never a time where it's like, oh man, I'm out of RAM. You know what I mean? Like that never happened to me.
Yeah. I think for me, I would still be on the 13, but the only thing preventing me from selling the 14 is I like the better display on it.
No, I get it. Yeah.
Because I have ProMotion. I have like this, what is it, mini LED, right? Backlit. It's a very HDR capable display.
Isn't it 1,000 nits?
It's beyond that. It's like 16 or something, 1600 something.
Really?
Like that.
I thought it was 1,000 to match the desktop one.
No,
I could
it's
be wrong.
better. Hold on. Let me 14-inch MacBook Pro. I'm gonna look it up because I'm pretty dang sure it's the displays are even brighter.
I thought it was 1,000 nits too. Well.
No, maybe it is. No, it says 1,000 nits sustained full screen, 1,600 nits peak.
Wow.
So
do you have it with you? Like by you?
No, I don't. It's downstairs, but yeah, it can get hella bright. And I did a lot of HDR testing, and it is super bright. It's insane how good. Like if you're doing HDR video, like it's still a great product. It's like the best HDR mastering display I have in my house.
Right.
Much better than my OLED, just because of its peak brightness. But even still, you can master HDR on this LG.
Can I tell you what I don't like about my OLED, since we're on the topic? I do a lot of photo editing, as you probably know, and like we've touched on it before, but like if you like don't notice it and then ABL kicks in, your exposure is way off.
Oh my god, that's
another
mean? Thing that kills me.
Yeah, dude, it's actually a nightmare for like doing color work.
If you full screen, it's a problem. Well, if you work in a window and like you, I
use Lightroom full screen, obviously, right? So
yeah. Okay, well, yeah, but like, you know how Lightroom has like a dark mode kind of?
Yeah.
So like that helps. Because
it does help, but like, I don't know, like there are times where I'm like, man, all my photos are really underexposed. And then like I minimized Lightroom and then my ABL turned off and I was like, oh, fucking great. You know?
No, you're right. So ABL is definitely a factor in photo work. Let me just say, if I did it professionally, there's no way I would keep this OLED. You know, for that specific purpose. Because I would want something that never has ABL ever.
Right. You can't.
I would go with like I might even go with the Apple display options. Like the Studio display or like even their Pro Display XDR, you know, like I would look at those for that professional level work because I could trust those to like give me a consistent experience. So I don't know. And a lot of that's an SDR anyway. So you could go with a lot cheaper, like consistent display that just has like really good like PCI D3,
like
P3.
Maybe one of those like Asus ProArt displays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So
They're
there's
good.
a lot of
They're
other
good,
options. Like, and honestly, now you could edit on the iPad because like Capture One's coming to the iPad. So if you use Capture One, I do. So
you do. I don't know like what the feature parity is going to be though. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know. I'm looking forward to trying it if they bring it because I think it'd be really cool. Like the iPad displays are really nice. So.
Yeah, but so like we're going to converge topics here because it came up.
Okay.
Kelly has an iPad as her main machine, and for her, it's a great main machine. You know what I mean? Like great main machine. She doesn't have a laptop, doesn't have a desktop. Her iPad is her computer, and it works great. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
The problem is with Lightroom. So like Apple doesn't give you access to the file system on iPad. So the problem is she has a 256 gigabyte iPad. Okay.
Right.
And I bought her an external drive to store her photos on. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess what you can't do?
What, access that drive?
You can't move Lightroom catalogs from iPad to the external drive, and you can't remove exports from Lightroom on the iPad to the external drive.
No.
It's frustrating to no end.
Oh my gosh. So like to me, the only way to get stuff off would be like to mass airdrop everything.
You can't. You can't is the answer.
Do that either?
So the workaround is, and this is what infuriates me to no end. The workaround, like,
can't use the Files app.
No. So this is what infuriates me to no end. Like literally just grinds my gears, grinds my cogwheels. Is the workaround is you would have to get the files on the external first, and then import them from the external, and then edit them directly off the external from the iPad itself. But if she imports them to her iPad, they're stuck there forever.
That sucks.
They're there.
Because like you don't have another machine to get the photos on the external with. Right. This is why iPad is like infuriating as like a main product. Like if that was like what's a computer, like that is your only machine.
Yeah, that's why. That's why it's not my computer. Yeah.
It's just not, it's not there. It doesn't reach like that same level of usability that a desktop or a laptop, like with a real OS.
Yeah, it has a Files app on it now, but if you don't give me access to all of the files, it's useless.
Yeah. And if you can't like move things around like that, like that's also useless. So it's like, I don't know why Apple does that. It's like they want to lock you into their ecosystem. Like you do it our way or no way at all. But that's wild. So I mean, I'm hoping Capture One doesn't offer me those same limitations. Like if I can't edit stuff, like I put my photos on my NAS. So I want to be able to edit my photos that are stored remotely and then have my exports go to a specific folder. I have a Capture One.
I can tell you right now, if you use Lightroom, you would not be doing that.
That's wild. So they better let me do that, or I'm not going to have a reason to use Capture One on there. I'm just be like, well, that's pointless. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Hopefully they, gosh, I like how
it's frustrating, isn't it, man?
Yeah, it is frustrating.
Yeah,
it's wild. Anyway, what were we talking about, dude? I don't even know.
The MacBook display.
Yeah, so I guess we were talking about that. Like we were summarizing the Mac Studio, dude, and then we were moving on.
Yeah.
So let's just change topics altogether because we're kind of done with the Apple event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, man. You want to talk about iPad versus Samsung tablet?
Yeah, we kind of walked into that, like backed into that a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
So I picked up a Tab S8 Ultra. As you know, I'm back on the Fold, and the S8 Ultra just looked cool. You know what I mean? It's this giant, super thin 14.6 inch tablet. Yeah. And like, it's so nice. It's so nice. However, in this transition, I also ended up buying a Windows laptop, which was kind of unexpected. Did you sigh, dude?
I did. Because you were like, out of nowhere, he's like, he's like, I got a laptop. I'm like, what? You got something you didn't even tell me, dude. And it wasn't even a laptop that he had been talking to me about.
No.
Like he was talking, what were you talking to me about? Like the Alienware one?
The Alienware X14. Yeah.
You were talking about the X14, and then I was like, don't do it. And you were like, okay. And then, I swear, it was like not even like 2 days later, you're like, I got a new laptop, dude. I'm like, what? It's like an HP. I'm like, what?
I got an HP laptop, dude. Anyway. It sounds gross, doesn't it? Like, it does. like it makes me want to return it when you say it like that.
Yeah, dude. I know. An HP, dude. But you know what?
Want to return
You know
it,
what?
dude.
I'll say this, dude. I'll say that the logo looks a lot nicer than it used to.
Doesn't it, dude?
Okay?
Doesn't
I'll
it?
say
Turn it
that.
upside down. It gives you
And
the middle
honestly,
finger, dude.
middle finger, exactly. Looks like the middle finger logo. But I'll tell you another thing is the actual physical design of this thing is actually pretty nice.
It is really nice.
It's like the hardware, like I don't know if it's gonna beat Apple, but like you tell me, how good is it?
The build quality is great. Like I have no problems with the build quality. I mean, it's solid. It's all metal.
All metal. That's a big plus.
The hinges feel really nice. But I'll cover that in a second.
Okay.
Let me get back
to
my tablet dilemma and how I ended up with a laptop as well. So
tell your story, dude.
Yeah. So I got the Tab S8 Ultra and like it's massive. It's a big boy, right? And the first thing you notice if you pick up a Tab S8 Ultra, literally when you take it out of the box, is just how thin it is. You immediately forget that it's 14.6 inches and you're just in awe at how thin it is. So to give you guys an idea, I'm sure everyone by now has seen like a USB-C cord. The tablet is thinner than the housing on an Apple USB-C cord and thinner than the housing on like your traditional like Samsung USB-C cord. So like literally the tablet is thinner than like the part you grip on a USB-C cable. That's probably the best way to like make it, you know, like relative to someone who hasn't held one, but just to realize how thin it is that it's thinner than that.
Okay. Pretty thin.
Yeah. So I picked it up and like at first, you know, coming from someone who basically lived off of an iPad for the past 6 years, I was like, wow, there's a lot of things I can do with this. Like thoroughly just impressed with like, you know, like Samsung's, you know, multitasking features. You can install multiples of the same app. So like if you have like a Google Authenticator for work and home, you have to combine them. Just giving examples. If you have like a work and personal Facebook, you can install multiple apps of those. There's a lot of use cases like, wow, you could do a lot of things with this.
You make a good point, man, because one of the things you can't do on an iPad is multi-user, and people have been asking for that forever.
Yeah, so like I was like, wow, this is really interesting. I mean, the multitasking is on a totally different level with, you know, pop-up windows, and this is even before we get into Samsung DeX. So immediately I was like, wow, maybe this thing can actually replace my laptop. So I was literally trying all of these, you know, tweaks and workarounds and like different remote desktop clients and different, you know, wrappers for like NVENC code and all this stuff to try to make it my laptop. And at some point down the line, I was like, wow, I'm getting like dangerously close, but I don't think a tablet is still at that point yet to replace a laptop.
Okay.
So that's how I also ended up with a laptop.
Well, I never thought you were going to make your tablet like replace your laptop, right?
I didn't. Like that wasn't my intention either.
I think it's because it's so good. You're like, it almost could.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But like it's getting to that point where like it almost could. And like part of, and like some of the issues I ran into could be fixed in a month.
Okay.
You know, like for example, some of the remote desktop clients don't identify the Samsung keyboard properly. So like if you remote in with like Microsoft RDP, I think works okay. But like Google Remote Desktop and Parsec and stuff, if you use the trackpad in those specific applications, left and right on the trackpad is up and down is left and right.
Oh yeah. Goofy.
And there's nothing you can do to fix that because it's just how the software is interpreting your movements.
Wow.
So like there were little things like that, but like small little glitches that really prevented it from being like the GOAT.
Okay.
You know,
bummer.
But like, yeah, it's a super good product, and I would say its biggest downfall is it just doesn't have the app support that the iPad does. But in terms of like usability and like what you can and can't do with it, it's on another level, man. It's on a completely different realm of like what Samsung will allow you to do and what just like the base Android system allows you to do. It's like, oh, you want to find an app that's on the App Store? Well, you can just sideload it. No big deal. You know, if you want to run 7 copies of the same app, you could do that too. You know what I mean? If you want to have 8 windows open at the same time, not a problem. You know what I mean? Like it just lets you do whatever you want to do. You want to have access to the root directory on your tablet? Sure, here it is. You know what I mean? Like it's just like there's nothing that like it doesn't lock you out for no reason. If you can't do it, it's because it's just not supported on Android or ARM. You know what I mean? Like
I get it.
And that's pretty cool, dude.
I get it.
You know?
Like I've kind of gotten, you know, that same vibe lately. Like I've been an Apple user on their tablets and their phones for a long time, but there's many times where I kind of wish that I had some of that flexibility that Android affords you. And
I get it.
since I'm a
Right.
Fold user now, like I've went back and forth between Fold, iPhone, Fold. I feel like, there's definitely pros and cons to both ecosystems even today. Like I still miss my iPhone, but like at the same time, I have a lot more going for me in the Android department right now. And in the tablet department, it's a little bit different because I always felt like iPad tablet apps were way better than the Android stuff.
So for me, this is what I'm fully realizing. And like, I mean, you could agree, you could disagree. Obviously, it's purely subjective, right? So like, I think that for people like you and I, and for maybe people of who listen to our podcast, maybe Android is the place for you. However, that doesn't mean Apple doesn't have a place for us or for other people, because if Kelly came to me today after, trying out my S8 Ultra and she said, what tablet should I get? I'm still going to tell her an iPad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
I'm still going to say, I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm still going to say, Apple exceeds at making a device for everyone.
They really do. They have the best device for that.
Samsung and Android succeed at making a device that you could do what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it's true. But even beyond that, like if, that's why you went to get a Windows laptop, is you need even more than that. Even more than what a tablet can offer you.
Right.
And I get that. That's why I didn't think the tablet could replace the laptop. I'm impressed with Samsung, what they have done, like with DeX and everything like that. Like it almost does. It definitely replaces your Chromebook and type of thing, right?
Oh, it does for sure. It does for sure. And you know what? I'll even take it one step further, that if I could have gotten either Moonlight or Parsec to run as well as it does on a one properly, I probably wouldn't need a laptop.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't.
It's true. Yeah.
So that being said, because like the laptop I got is the 2021 refresh of the HP Spectre X360. So it's the 14-inch 3K 2K OLED model. So the screen's gorgeous, right? And like it's a 3x2 screen, which is really nice, and it has the whole 360 feature where it can fold back to a tablet. But as far as being a tablet, the S8 Ultra runs circles around the Spectre. You know what I mean? Like I think the S8 Ultra fills that niche of being a 2-in-1 better than the Spectre fills the niche of being a 2-in-1.
Interesting. So which I'm trying to find your Spectre. Is it like is there a 16-inch and a 14-inch?
There is a 16-inch.
Did you get the 14?
I can pull up on Best Buy if you want.
I'm just on the HP's website, which looks old as hell.
Dude, so like there are some problems with buying an HP laptop. One, it's old as hell. Two, it doesn't matter because it's Windows and you can basically do whatever you want with it.
All right.
All right. This is
you got a Best Buy link. Okay, this
is my boy, dude.
All right, I'm gonna look at it on Best Buy's website for the podcast. So loading up, here it is. So check it out. It's like it's got like this black and gold look.
Yeah, the color's called Nightfall. So if anyone plays Destiny 2, you're probably familiar with the reference, which I've been playing a lot of actually. No relation. I've been playing Destiny 2 since the Witch Queen came out.
Nice. Look at that. Look at that. Does the screen rotate when you TP mode it, dude?
It does automatically. The screen rotation is next level on this thing. Like the detection in it's fantastic.
Wow.
HP has some nice features that are wrote into the BIOS. So if you want to disable them, you honestly have to go into the BIOS to change them, which is cool because it means they operate at a kernel level, right? So like one thing it has that's really nice is it has bag detection. So for those of you who don't know, like Windows laptops have notoriously bad standby time. And that's why Windows has like sleep and hibernate and all those, wonky features. So what it'll do is if your laptop is out, it'll traditionally go into sleep for like however long you have it set. Let's just give an arbitrary number of an hour, right? It'll sleep for an hour and then it'll go into hibernate, which is like their ultra low power mode.
Right.
Well, HP has a bag detect mode where it'll detect if it's in a bag and then it'll hibernate immediately.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool feature.
That is super cool. I like that. I like that a lot. So, I mean, I'm just looking at it. It's a pretty nice laptop, man. So, like, it's going to be interesting because, we've talked quite a bit offline. I want to just kind of tell the podcast how I feel about it. So, first off, my first impression was, why'd you leave Apple? Because their laptop game with the M1 is very strong. And you go ahead and speak to that.
Yeah, so like, and maybe this is like an interesting like reflection period, because like I still want an M1 MacBook. I do. You know what I mean? And like it's still like, I'm still in my period of like, well, do I keep this or do I just get an M1 MacBook Pro?
Right.
And there's a few reasons why I would return it, and they're not really, I think, valid reasons.
Yeah, okay.
One, I just like Apple products. So like I prefer Apple over HP. So that's just rule number one. Rule number two, the M1 is more powerful. It just is. You know what I mean? Like it's just a more powerful laptop. But I don't know if I really need that power. You know what I mean? Like today after the podcast, I'm probably going to edit some photos on the Spectre and see how it handles photo editing, because that's really what I need horsepower for on a laptop, is photo editing. That's not the main thing I do on a laptop, but it's what I do remotely that requires the most oomph, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The screen is gorgeous. Like I like mini LED, but it's having an OLED without ABL is nice, dude. It's just a nice place to be. I like the 3:2 aspect ratio on the HP. I love that it's a touchscreen. Like it's gonna sound really weird, right? Because like, and like this is kind of funny too, because I love the trackpad on Apple products. Like I love the trackpad on Apple products. I think everyone does. But I find myself using a combination of the Spectre, the Spectre's trackpad and like the touchscreen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Makes sense.
Like a good example is like if I go to a website, right, and there's like a login button, like I'll just reach up and tap that with my finger real quick, and then I'll switch back to the trackpad. You know what I mean? Like there are situations where I use both, and it happened to me like 2 days at work. I was editing photos on my work M1 Max, right? And then I went to a website to log into our SharePoint to put the photos on, and I input my information, and then I just instinctively went to click log in on the screen, and nothing happened. And I felt like Apple, this is dumb. Like just give us the touchscreen on the Mac. You know what I mean? And then I realized I had to move, but like I was just so used to that now, right? Like it's just
weird.
Such a nice feature that like it's not something that replaces the trackpad, or vice versa. But using them in conjunction like that is a pretty nice experience.
Yeah,
or like just like scrolling with your thumb, you know, like just having your hand out and scrolling on the side of the screen is a super nice feature. So the trackpad is definitely a pro for the Spectre.
Okay.
It does. I feel like with like my typical use so far, the fans kick on more than they would on an M1 Pro. So that's a con for the Spectre too. You know, I'm still kind of in my pros and cons list. And as much as I love Mac OS, I prefer as an operating system. I think the fact that it runs Windows, is kind of liberating in a way.
Yeah, I think that's like the only justification you have to keep it, is it runs Windows. You know, because like you need Windows for a lot of stuff, man. It runs everything. Like everyone's got Windows software. The M1, as awesome as it is, you know, the fact they got rid of Boot Camp support on the Macs, like that really is crippling in a way, because I know I used to have Boot Camp on my 16-inch MacBook Pro back when it was Intel, and like I did use it. You know, I've used it on occasion.
There's some stuff you just need Windows for.
Sometimes it's nice to be able to just dual boot into Windows, and you can't do that anymore. So that sucks. And
I will say this too. I think the keyboard on the Spectre is better.
Interesting.
Than on the MacBook Pro. But the trackpad is definitely better on the MacBook.
Yeah.
But the typing experience, I think, is better on the Spectre. I'd rather type on the Spectre than on a MacBook Pro.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. So I'll give
I mean,
you that,
that's not to say the MacBook Pro is a bad keyboard.
Yeah,
that's just saying the Spectre's keyboard is really, really nice.
Yeah.
It feels like they're obviously not individual switches, but like they have like a really like heavy actuation force that makes them feel meaty and weighty, like not like
tactile then.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Like they almost feel like MX Browns with like a really heavy bump. But when they bottom out, it's really soft and springy.
Okay.
Like it's just a really nice feel.
Like
it has a
membrane.
really defined tactile bump.
Okay.
Really defined.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really nice. It's really nice. So like even now, like it's like this conversation with Apple before. You know, it's like, oh well, maybe I just get the MacBook. It's on sale. You know, like what am I doing? But at the same time, I look over at it, I'm like, but it's so good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, my opinion on what you should have done was just keep the M1 around and the MacBook Pro, and then just wait for the M2 Airs and then go to one of those. But that was like the play that, unless you can really justify the Windows experience, and you might be able to. I would say, like, if you're going to stay on the Mac side, unless you need that much power, like, maybe just stick with, like, a MacBook Pro with the M2 eventually. And then, like, if you don't need... Like, the only reason I would say the M2 MacBook Pro would be where you want to be is if you want to do video editing, because the display... I know in the current gen, the display is brighter than the Air display can get by 100 nits, and that 100 nits goes a long way when you're doing photo and video editing on it, right? So I think that would be the reason to go stay with the Pro line and not the Air, but at the same time, those new Airs, if they're going to be as sexy as the renders are kind of teasing,
they look really sexy.
They kind of might be worth getting. So I don't know. I'm somebody that looks at it from a sex appeal perspective, and I'm like, I kind of want one if it looks like that. If they look like that.
Here's where I'm at, dude. And like, this is how my brain works. So maybe if like some of you out there are like psychiatrists, or maybe even you, Eric, could kind of give me some.
I'm guilty of a lot of the same shit you are, though. So.
My brain is weird, though, right, dude? Because it's like, we'll never have this discussion about maybe, you know, we write it out and we get the M2 Air or M2 Pro and stuff. I'm like, oh, good idea. You know, I'll just route the Spectre. And like that sounds so like first world problems, because like it's a great laptop. Like it's a great Windows experience, like to the point where if you're out there and you absolutely need Windows, for some reason you need Windows and you don't need a dedicated graphics card, if you don't buy a Spectre, you bought the wrong laptop.
Right. Interesting.
And like I've had the liberty of trying a ton of laptops, right? Because of work and stuff. You know what I mean? Like we've had Surface laptops 1 through 4. We have a Surface Studio. We have a Surface Hub. We have a Surface Hub 2S. We have Surface Pros all the way up to 8. We have Dell XPSs. You know, like even the new Dell XPS with the OLED. I prefer the HP Spectre over that. Like I've been fortunate enough to like get my hands on a lot of different products. And I think the HP Spectre is probably the best laptop I've used out of all of them. The only other one that I would probably like to try that I haven't yet is the Dell XPS or the Dell Alienware X14.
Okay.
But that's if you need a dedicated graphics card, right?
That's my argument, is like I wouldn't buy a Windows laptop if I didn't have dedicated graphics.
Okay.
But that's just me. That's because like I feel like if I had a Windows laptop, I would have Steam on it, and I'd want to have some games going on it.
Yeah,
like,
but you could just Steam Link to it, right?
It's true, but like
or use like Moonlight.
It's true, but I would still rather have the dedicated, because I like to run things locally if I can. It's just like a thing. I know we talked about streaming a lot, quite a bit. Even though in-home streaming is good, it's not as good as running native. Right? Like it's just not as good at running native. Like I wouldn't need my Steam Deck if I could just, you know, have my Fold with a controller clipped onto it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't need the Steam Deck, but I want it because it can run stuff on board.
Have you actually tried that with properly configured Moonlight? Because I haven't, but that would be an interesting experiment.
No. So on the Fold, I've done Steam Link, and it's been awesome. I love it, actually.
One of these days, maybe our next bro date, we're gonna set up Moonlight for you properly, and then see
I have Moonlight set up. It's just I have to have my monitor on, and I'm always like,
no, you don't.
For Moonlight, you do.
No, you don't. You don't.
Okay, well,
In the past you did, and I could tell you why in the past you did and why now you don't.
Okay.
Because you use HDMI. DisplayPort doesn't send a signal if the monitor's off. HDMI still does.
Okay.
So because we use C1048s in their HDMI, you could turn the monitor off and it still detects the display.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, man, because like even when I'm running Steam Link, if I have my monitor off, it won't let me access 4K. It'll like go to 1024 by 768 and
Steam
be
Link is
stuck
junk. Don't
there.
use Steam Link.
All right, well, I'll play with Moonlight then, because I have Moonlight.
I'm telling you, man. I do it on a daily basis with the monitor off.
All right, well, if it works, then it works. I'll check it out, because I do want to see how it compares to Steam Link, which is good. Steam Link's good, so I like Steam Link a lot. So
for reference, I've been moonlighting to my NVIDIA Shield,
right,
primarily because if you play Destiny, you have to buy the expansions on every platform, and I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I've made it a point to get Moonlight to work on my television, and it works great with the monitor off.
Okay.
So I think you'll be
We'll
pleased.
talk about that later, dude. Let's talk about a topic.
All right.
We've been an hour and 21 minutes in, so I want to kind of like knock out the remaining topics.
Sure.
So, let's talk about the Samsung warranty issue.
Okay.
Let's talk about that real quick because it impacts us both.
It does impact us both. Yeah. So there have been an increasingly large number of complaints on our Galaxy Fold, and again, I'm fully aware that like if people have a good experience with Samsung warranty or a good experience with their Fold in general, where nothing breaks, they're probably not going to speak up about it, right? Like you're already looking at a small sample set because not everyone who has a Fold is active on Reddit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're already looking at a smaller sample set. But there have been an increasingly alarming number of cases of people who have been using their Fold, and then there's an issue with the inner display where they just open it one day and it cracks down the seam, which in my opinion is like a known issue. You know what I mean? Like these things aren't perfect yet. It's a known issue.
Yeah.
And then they send it back to Samsung for warranty replacement, which should be covered. And they're picking out like, oh, well, there's a nick on the hinge, so that's why the screen broke.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come back and say, bro, I dropped this phone like a day after I got it. That nick has been there for like 8 months.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
But like they're using literally anything without, like correlative evidence to deny warranty claims.
Yeah, and that's super worrying to me as well. Because you know how like Samsung have, they're supposed to have like one free screen replacement and stuff like that. So like, why are you denying me like what I'm entitled to, right?
Right.
Like, they've offered this. They said this is a part of the deal, right? And then they're altering the deal. And
do not
that's
alter it again.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I'm just gonna show a little visual for the podcast. This is my, my Foldy boy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, his is loved.
So mine is nice, lived in, loved. And the thing about it is, I don't rock a case, and I haven't since I got it because during launch I didn't like any of the cases. Like they sent me a free one. Yeah. It sucks. I chucked it it's in my drawer over here, never to be seen again. But if you look at the bottom of this Fold, like I don't know if you can kind of see that, but it's kind of scraped up.
A little bit.
Let me get the light on it, dude. Don't let my eye
get your eye out of there, dude. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I see it now, Dan. Yeah, there you go.
See, like the scrapey,
the silver coming through.
Yeah, you can see the paint scuffs. So that's like just the minor kind of damage that they would probably use to.
They would probably deny
me
based off of what I've seen. But again, this is just a small sample set of probably an already small sample set, but it's still enough for someone who is semi Chicken Little to always think the sky is falling to kind of bring it up and bring it to people's attention and say.
And my screen is definitely not in perfect condition either. I can't really show the issue. So I'm worried about that personally because I know that the interior screen on mine is fine. I still have the screen protector on. I'm thinking about peeling it because I get it coming up a little bit in the top middle, but
on the interior,
yeah, like in the Fold
on the top middle,
of the Fold.
Can you see it if you hold it up?
I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the camera.
Oh no, you can't really see it. No.
Kind of moving in. You can kind of see it a little bit, but not really.
A little bit.
There's like a little bit of a air gap there. You can't really see it.
Sure.
But like it bothers me enough because I can see it that
Right.
I'm like
No, I
about to
get that.
peel the
I
whole
get
thing.
that.
Plus, I got like at some point on the screen, on my screen protector, I got like a little kind of dent
And
in the screen protector. Yeah, I don't know if my nail nicked it or I had dropped something on the screen at some point, but I'm like, I just want to
Sure.
peel, see if it'll get rid of that. Anyway, yeah, I'm worried about it because like that's the problem with these folding phones is they're very expensive still, right? So you
Right.
want, if it does break or you have an issue with the folding technology, you want to be able to rely on Samsung to have your back. And if they're denying people, that's worrying. Now, I know that it was worrying enough to you to where you're even considering a standard phone like the S22 Ultra or whatever it is.
yeah.
And
For that reason alone, pretty much.
yeah, for that reason alone, I don't think that's the play though.
I don't think it is either. I was talked out of it by 2 people now.
Yeah, it's not the play.
The Fold is just too good, man.
The Fold is honestly, I told
It's
Randy
worth the risk, dude.
that it's worth the risk. If my Fold breaks tomorrow, I'm getting another Fold.
Yeah,
You know what I
pretty
mean?
much.
Like
Yeah.
if Samsung decides to fuck me, I'm gonna take it because the Fold's so good, dude. Like
The Fold's
and
crazy
and
good.
I mean, I'm gonna be pissed at Samsung. Don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna be up their shit. Like if they decide to try and warranty deny me, I'm gonna be like pretty upset with them, and I'm gonna be like pushing them like, yo, it's
rightfully so.
rightfully so,
right?
and that's my responsibility to do that, to make sure that I'm getting the warranty that I'm promised. So.
Right.
But at the same time, like I definitely, if there was a reasonable, if it was like, say I was at fault, right? Like say I dropped it, it got fucked up and Samsung didn't want to do nothing to it. I'd be like, all right, that's on me.
That's
I gotta own
but
that.
like if you just unfold and
Yeah,
and
if I just
cracks,
unfold and it cracks, I'm gonna be like, yo, Samsung, what the hell? And then I'm gonna have them fix it. But yeah, let's just say I'm looking at the Fold 4 with great anticipation because
especially because of the rumors with the stronger UTG or whatever.
yeah, they're talking about it maybe even being thinner. It's gonna be better screen. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's all.
I don't want it
wins.
to be thinner. I want a bigger battery.
Yeah, that's what people are like worried about. Is if okay, make it thinner, but like don't compromise the battery. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of am happy
Especially
with the
if
size.
they make it thinner and put an S Pen silo in it. big
Yeah,
yikes.
how you gonna do that? The battery's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want the S Pen built in. I have mine right here because I keep it at my desk, and I actually use it. I like using it.
I use it all the time.
I just wish it was with
I
me.
take notes on it like a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, I take notes on the inner display all the time. I have the S Pen Pro though,
Okay.
like the bigger one.
Yeah.
And I just put it in my pocket with like where my work keys are, my knife.
Okay.
So my front left pocket is my phone, and then my front right pocket is my S Pen, my keys for work, and my knife.
Okay.
So I always have it on me anyway. Like that's my workaround, right? Like I don't need it to be in the phone if it's in my pocket, you know.
Facts.
It'd be nice to be in the phone. It's nice to have, but it's not like a deal breaker for me.
To me, it's that kind of like quick access, like blam. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
you
got
just pull
it.
out one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is quicker.
Yeah.
It definitely is quicker.
That would be
for
like
sure.
I never had a note. Like Amanda had one for a short while,
Mm-hmm.
and like I always envied it. I
It's
want
cool, right,
the
dude?
internal. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I want it. And
Plus, it has that like clicky top, dude, to fidget with, dude.
yeah, and I need fidget, man.
Yeah.
It's the I don't know if it's the ADHD or what.
Yeah. gotta
But I
fidget
need
too, dude.
I need to
Yeah.
occupy the hands. So yeah, it'd be nice to have, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the Fold 4, hopefully it nails. But anyway,
I'm
Samsung
getting
warranty,
it,
dude.
I'm getting it too.
Hopefully. I mean, I don't know if it's just a vocal minority, but hopefully we don't have to deal with it. We'll
Yeah,
keep the podcast
yeah.
up to date if we do.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few people who say that like the Samsung trade-in would like, they would send them a perfect phone and then it would get denied. But like I've sent in like 4 things to Samsung and like everyone was like, oh, here you go. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
That's why
It's
I'm
fine."
not too
Yeah.
worried about it personally.
Yeah.
Like if I run into it, yeah, then I'll start to worry about it. But I'm not
Yeah.
gonna like take somebody else's bad experience and then like
And
suddenly
no, that
hate
makes
them.
sense. That makes sense.
You know, because like I don't know the
Sure.
full story. That's just one
Right.
side of it. That might be a vocal minority. I don't know. So,
Mhm.
but anyway, let's move on to the next topic, man. What's
Yeah.
I got 2 more things on the list here. I got a Galaxy Book 2 and I got a Steam Deck.
We probably. I don't know a whole lot about the Galaxy Book 2 because reviewers don't have it yet.
Let's drop it until
And
we got more
Pre-orders go live tomorrow for it.
Okay.
So I can just like give you a quick 30,000 foot view of it. It's basically Samsung's new laptop that does the 360 convertible thing where like the screen flips back. It runs Windows. It's the first, I believe, if not the second, consumer laptop that uses the U SKU for 12th gen, so the lower powered one, not the H one that's in like the X14 and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Benchmarks are kind of good, kind of not good.
I want to see performance per watt.
I don't know what that is, but I've seen it compared to the chip that's in my Spectre 360. So single core is the same.
Okay.
The Intel Xe GPU is the exact same. That's unchanged. So single core, Cinebench score and GPU score is the exact same if you own a 11th gen Tiger Lake U refresh laptop from mid 2021. But where it does pick up almost 50% is in multi-core.
Interesting. Okay.
So my current SKU, the 1195 G7, which is the highest Tiger Lake U chip, I think it's like $49.93 in Cinebench on multi-core, and the 12th gen thing gets 6,000 or 7,000. So it's basically 2,000 points more in 2,000 points more in multi-core, and single core and graphics performance are the same. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see. I haven't really looked at any Samsung laptop offerings ever, so
I don't think I would get one. Just because I mean, I could be totally off base on this, but they just look cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it doesn't really
with the Galaxy Book 2, then
it doesn't excite me. So.
Yeah. So yeah.
Looks good.
I just wanted to touch on it. That pre-orders are coming out tomorrow. That's all.
No. I mean, next podcast, if there's something interesting after it comes out, we'll touch on it. Last topic, Steam Deck. So Steam Deck, man.
Shocker, right?
Steam Deck. We talk about it every time. Every podcast, but that's because it's exciting. It's a new hardware category, basically, at least in this price range, and Windows drivers came out. So a lot of people were talking about Steam Deck and it running Windows. Have you consumed any of that content regarding Windows on it?
Two videos. That's
two videos
and a article that showed how Valve's compatibility layer. One has touched on it too, but I read an article on it about how Valve's Proton compatibility layer actually made Elden Ring run better.
Yeah, so it's wild. So Elden Ring does run better on SteamOS on the deck through the Proton compatibility layer. That's pretty cool, and it's because of Elden Ring's a DirectX 12 game, and they didn't. I don't know what happened with Elden Ring where they didn't program the shader caching correctly. But that's what happens on the desktop. But thankfully, thanks to Proton and features within Vulkan API after the conversion, they were able to cache, basically do the shader cache themselves. So Valve was like, we can shader cache. So they basically fixed Elden Ring for the performance dips on SteamOS. That's awesome.
So is this something that Valve did specifically, or is it just a byproduct of how the compatibility layer works?
I think they actually tuned it specifically because when Elden Ring first came out, right, and people were putting it on the Steam Deck, it had the same performance problems that they had the same problems that Windows did. So they went and tuned. I don't know what they did within Proton, or I think they're using something within Vulkan to do the caching. They turned some feature on, and then suddenly it's good now. And I think that's pretty cool.
Isn't that typical of From Software though, where they release a game, don't fix it, and then the community has to fix it?
Yeah, I mean that's been kind of the thing with FromSoft, especially their PC ports. People have always criticized their PC ports. It seems like, and whenever another studio ports their stuff, like I think another studio did the remaster for Dark Souls 1, or like another studio made like the Demon Souls remaster on the PS5, but that's a whole different story. But like it seems like, how come these third-party studios can do it better than like the internal big dog. I don't know.
Okay.
I just think
because
it's funny.
When you said that, I was like, man, where are you going with that? Because like the PS5 Demon Souls is amazing.
Good. It's so good.
Dude.
It looks better than Elden Ring does.
It looks way better than Elden Ring.
Yeah,
it blows my mind.
That's
dude.
what I mean. It's like they. I don't know what it is, but I feel like FromSoft, like they get the art design really on point, but the technology they never really have. Like they never really know the technology as well as they should.
It's like they spend all their money on people who can draw.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like creative visionaries who could draw, and
which
then
we
like
love
all
them
their
for
budget
that.
was like, oh well, we got Billy from processing. He could put it in the engine.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Dude, that's what I mean. It's like they have such good art direction, gameplay, and everything.
Great art direction. Yeah.
They have great level design, but then the technology, they just can't nail it. And so that's what's wrong with FromSoft. It's like, dang it, dude, like get it right. But that's why people, a lot of people were criticizing Elden Ring's graphics, and I'm like, okay, graphically, fidelity wise, it could be much better. But like art design is where Elden Ring shines. But anyway, that's a whole nother tangent, dude. The Steam Deck, it's just fascinating that that Valve has tuned Elden Ring specifically to run way better on the deck than it even does on Windows, and that's fantastic.
I did see a video, and I wanted to get your take on it. It seems like those fans get pretty loud in Steam Deck under some.
I'll admit,
scenario.
I've seen in several review videos they criticize the fans. They even say so much as, this isn't something you'd want to play in the bed next to your sleeping wife. And I'm like, dang, it doesn't pass the wife test.
That's what I saw was like you still may want to keep your Switch for that reason alone.
I was like, dang, that sucks.
And I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that's a big problem almost. Like, and one of the things I'm kind of wondering, and this is like just because of this specific problem, I was wondering if anyone puts liquid metal on this, if it'll be better.
Huh.
I'm just saying, like, what if you open it up, you do a little liquid metal job on it. Maybe you get a little bit of thermal connectivity improvements. Yeah, think about, like, what if that happened,
Well, someone also pointed out, and, like, I don't know how the Steam Deck is laid out, but, like, you've delitted a CPU before, right?
Yes.
And, okay, so, like, I've delitted my 8086K.
Okay.
And I actually had to get clear nail polish to put around all the transistors that were around the processor, but not on the die.
Safe then. Yeah.
Yeah, did you not do it that way?
No.
Okay, so I used clear nail polish all over my actual PCB substrate.
Okay.
Around
just in case the liquid metal moved.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are saying that, like, because of the Steam Deck's, portability, handhold nature, that liquid metal may not be an option because it's going to move.
Well, I don't know. It depends, right? Like, that's valid.
I mean,
that's
when
valid.
I saw that, I was like, I'm just gonna nail polish the hell out of this thing.
Yeah, I know. I knew that was your first thing. Yeah, you're just gonna seal it up.
Yeah, dude. I'm just gonna nail polish this thing to death, dude.
No, I get it. No, I totally get it. No, I mean, that might be the way to go. Like, I didn't nail polish personally because, like, I was just like, I'll just use just enough of the liquid metal, right? Like, I didn't want to, like, put a blob on there and have it sploosh. Yeah. I was like, no, I'm just going to do thin.
It was $3. So I was like, you know what? I'll do it for $3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was just worried about, like, am I, like, adding a thermal blanket to my chips? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of worried about that kind of stuff. Not really a problem in practice, but it's just one of those things that I think about. But yeah, clear nail polish or some sort of surface layer, you could definitely do that. I'm worried. Yeah, I'm hoping the Steam Deck isn't as loud as people say it is, but I don't know.
That's my biggest concern right now, in all honesty. It's just
noise.
Volume. Yeah.
I get it. And, like, for me, it's not going to be too big of an issue, right? Like, I got ambient noise all over me. I got a mini fridge over there that's making noise. I have to unplug it whenever I film with my camera. And because I can hear it. Yeah, well, I'm recording with the Deity mic, right? And that's picking up so much. Like, I got a freaking plane going off right now. Pisses me off. I'm like, it picks up all that noise. So
plane going off.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Like, when I bought this house, I made sure I was in, like, a no-fly zone, like, because, like, that is a problem around me. I got like
fly elsewhere,
dude. I got like 3 airports around me, dude. If you go into an area, like, if you buy a house in the wrong area, dude, you're gonna have planes going off all day. Like, near my work, there's like the freaking it's like the Air Force are like flying over
Sure.
like all day, man. They're doing like, you got like what the hell are the fucking fighter jets going over me, dude, all day. They're loud. Anyway, so I don't want to live near that. I lived I was in my brother's apartment for a short time when I got back here from Hawaii, and like it was just planes all day, dude. But yeah, so anyway, what the hell were we talking about?
Steam Deck being loud.
Steam Deck's loud. I don't think it'll be a problem, but it's definitely going to be louder than a Switch. Is it going to be as loud as like a Surface Book 2? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's loud, dude. That thing is loud for no reason. I have a Surface Book 3 on my desk at work, and that thing will just, I won't be touching it, and it'll just start whirring, dude.
It just ramp out of nowhere, and you're like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, dude. Nothing, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen people limit the TDP on the Steam Deck because it has a little slider for it. I'm wondering.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, it does. It's really cool. I was like, maybe if I just like limit. I was like, why can't I do that on my MacBook Pro 14 so I can get more battery life? Just slider limit my TDP on my shit.
You can do that on a Windows laptop.
Oh, can you? Well, I mean,
of course you can, dude.
Well, I don't know. Like, can you actually do like a TDP cap, or is it like so it's not like Windows power saving mode? It's like control.
So like you could download like Intel XTU, for example, and just undervolt it.
Okay.
Through XTU.
Okay.
But that's like the same thing, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Less voltage is less power, right?
Yeah, but like also if you undervolt it, you run into stability problems because it doesn't let you. It doesn't like throttle itself down. You know what I mean?
I think that
like
you can make
crash.
your own profile, right? Where like,
is it not going to crash if you like don't give it enough juice for the fucking?
Yeah, but like undervolting has been around for years, right? Like you're not going to get a lot, right? But you may get some.
Okay.
But to your point, I mean, you could also just dial back clock frequencies and dial back voltage at the same time.
Okay.
Like you can make your own profile, dude.
Yeah, that might be the case. Yeah, that's fine. But I just think it's cool the Steam Deck can do it with the
I think it's cool
slider.
I think it's cool that TDP makes it more streamlined.
Yeah, it does.
You know what I mean? Can you use like any display with the Steam Deck?
Yeah, so you can use dongles, right? Like people are using. There's no dock right now, so people are using just USB-C normal dongles like with HDMI.
Normal dick dongles.
Yeah, and they're working.
Cool.
And people are use like the desktop mode, and they've been able to do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Keyboard, mouse, all that. It's just really cool. I've seen people on Reddit, doing it. I love that. I think that's really cool. It's going to let me use Linux more, which is a big plus for me. I've been wanting to use Linux a lot more, try to phase out Windows eventually, and like getting really good at Linux is a part of that process. And I think the Steam Deck's going to be the gateway for that for me. Like I have Linux in a lot of I run Linux VMs. I got Linux at work on a lot of stuff, but I don't use it for everything. I use it for like key specific tasks, and that's it.
It's a specific tool for you. It's not
something
but
you're I want to change that. Like I want to try and make it into something that I use on the regular, if possible, to like replace what I do on Windows. So the Steam Deck might allow me to do that. I don't know. It's going to be cool to try.
It may allow you to do that.
At least partially. So the Steam Deck. So real quick, talking about Windows on it. So the Windows GPU drivers, I don't think all the drivers are there. People are saying that the sound drivers aren't all there yet.
Okay.
But like I don't know if the speakers or the headphone jack doesn't work yet, something like that. But the GPU drivers are there, so people are benchmarking.
I will say too that every article I've seen says that like running Windows on the Steam Deck takes away like the soul of the Steam Deck, and you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, so they're right. So there's a couple things that Windows, by running it, you take away features that you would have had if you ran SteamOS. One of them is the instant sleep and wake. The way SteamOS works is like if you're playing a game and you sleep your device and then you wake it, you'll resume where you were left off, and that's something that Windows just can't do.
Sure.
Windows just can't do it. Have you ever tried to like go to sleep like while playing a game?
Miserable.
It might work. Miserable. But it also might just break your game.
My experience with that is it will work for like up to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then like any period of time longer than 5 minutes, you forget it.
Yeah. Steam is like the Steam OS, it's way better with that experience. Like it's been tuned specifically to enable a console-like experience when it comes to sleeping and waking.
Now that's really cool.
That's really the advantage of SteamOS.
That's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah, that's like an actual concrete pro that it has over Windows. And another thing is the performance. People are saying though under Windows, you actually are getting less performance in your games than you would in SteamOS, which is pretty crazy because these games are designed for Windows. There might be more to that story, but like as to why it's happening.
What do you think that is? Do you have a theory?
Okay, it might be that either the Windows drivers just aren't tuned right, like they're not really optimized. It could be Windows overhead, but I don't think that is entirely true because Windows doesn't provide like that much like it's overhead, but it's not like a boatload of overhead, just like a base install. So like you ought to get like similar performance. But like the performance increases you're seeing under SteamOS versus Windows are actually kind of bigger than you'd expect. So, and I can't really explain it other than saying it just feels off. Like something feels weird to get that much less performance, especially because Proton is translating these like DirectX 12, DirectX 11 instructions into Vulkan instructions. You would think the overhead from that would cause SteamOS to even be worse, but it's not. So it's like, well, that's really weird. So I feel like that maybe just the Windows drivers aren't really hitting like they should be, but maybe there's more to it. What do you think?
That was kind of the route I was taking, right? Also, I'm not sure too much or know too much about this APU, but I'm sure it was kind of, I'm pretty sure that SteamOS was probably designed to work with it, almost like an Apple product, would be my guess.
Yeah,
it's like Valve co-designed it with AMD, right? Like the actual silicon has the Valve logo on it.
Right. That's valid. So like they've tuned SteamOS so well that it can really utilize the hardware to its fullest. And they didn't really like, obviously we have the Windows drivers for the Steam Deck. That's cool, but they're not like a priority. That was just something that they gave as a bonus. Like, yo, you need to run Windows for whatever reason. Like, we'll let you, but we don't really support it. Like, officially, they don't support it. They're not going to help you with it. They offer it, but like, you're on your own. And
but it's cool that they offer it, right?
It is. Like, that's a huge breath of fresh air because like no one else would do that. Like, no one else would do that. They do it, and that's cool because like the people that want to play Destiny 2 and that's their game and they really want to play it, they're not going to be able to play it over Proton.
Who plays that though, dude?
Who does? Not me, but you do.
Should.
And you say it's really good, and I'm sure there's people like if your favorite game can only be played under Windows, I don't blame you for putting it on there, but you're going to have to deal with the negatives that come along with running Windows on the Steam Deck. You lose the ability to do your fast sleep and wake. You lose, you're probably going to burn more power. Well, I mean, the TDP is the TDP, right? But you're going to be less efficient because of Windows overhead and the driver just not being optimized, it seems like, for what you're getting on Windows because of the performance decrease. And yeah, I don't know. There's other cons too, like the mouse situation and the keyboard situation, like the on-screen keyboard doesn't really work.
It looks it looks jank compared to
it becomes really jank because like you have to have Steam running or it just don't pop up. So there might be occasions where you need to use a keyboard and mouse. Like sometimes the trackpad's the mouse, sometimes the joystick's the mouse. There's like, it's just not a clean experience. You're going to have to deal with like the typical Windows PC user jank. You're not going to get that console-like experience that you might be wanting out of a Steam Deck if you use Windows. It's just going to be... But like a lot of people are going to be able to deal with that. Like you and I, we could probably fiddle with it. Oh crap, we got to plug in a keyboard, whatever. We'll do it real quick. But like a lot of people might just not do that. And I don't recommend they do unless they really need to. I don't even want to run Windows on it. So, I mean, really? I might put Windows on it. Well,
I'm not going to put Windows on it at all. Like that's not even an option for me. But again, I
might get curious. I might get curious and put it on like a micro SD because you can you can do that, I think.
Can you boot from that though?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. People are saying you could, so if that's
cool.
the case, then I would just put Windows on a micro SD card and then slap
Sure.
that bitch with Windows and then just run it on that. Because like people are saying that the micro SD cards actually the speeds on it are not too crappy. Like
right.
Surprisingly, it's not impacting performance.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, we both have camera battery problems, dude. Anyway, let's wrap it up then.
Yeah, dude, wrap that up.
Let's wrap it up, dude. I wish my camera would overheat right now. It'd be funny.
It'd be the perfect ending.
It'd be
dude.
the perfect ending.
The
here.
swan song.
Yeah. Anyway, let me wrap this up, dude. So I think we're done anyway, right?
Yeah.
You're done anyway. Let's wrap this baby up. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening to the Technosthetic Podcast. It's been another sweet week. We're going to come back at 2 weeks from now. It's going to be every 2 weeks. On Wednesdays, we're going to record them. Hopefully publish them. We'll see. And check us out on technosthetic.com. That's where we're at. We have all of our contact info on there. And you can check out our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll see you guys next 2 weeks on the podcast.
Later, boys.